This program contains combat experiences and images that viewers may find disturbing.
I was inhuman, I'm a monster.
I remember going to buy a brand new car and I said, I don't deserve this car.
We're talking about deep guilt and shame.
I drank to forget, and I was so good at drinking that I lost my job.
In the dream, I felt everything. I saw you step on the IED right in front of me, and I saw your body blow into red and pink pieces of flesh and mist.
If you don't give me help right now, this will be the last time you will ever hear from us.
But when we're talking about moral injury, we're really talking about a soul wound.
Right? There are people suffering and dying because they're not getting treatment for this. No more.
Killing, torture, the destruction of human life, the worst humanity can dish out. We see it on the news. We scroll through it on social media, but most of us will only ever interact with this kind of violence through a book or a screen. For the next hour, we will follow combat veterans as they struggle with life-threatening guilt and shame, and the Northern California clinician who cracked the code on how to treat them as they struggle with moral injury.
There's two kinds of people in the world. There's people that are sociopaths and they have no conscience, and then there are the rest of us.
Since 1965, 12 million men and women have been asked to navigate conflicts from Vietnam to Iraq and Afghanistan. Dr. Melinda Keenan has treated thousands of them.
In the Civil War, they called it soldier's heart. And then shell shock, combat fatigue, combat neuroses. That was when it was first put into the DSM, it was called combat neuroses. And then after that, that's when it morphed into the post-traumatic stress.
Moral injury is related to post-traumatic stress, but has different neuropsychological markers. It impacts different parts of the brain, which is why Dr. Keenan and her staff say traditional treatments for PTS do not work.
Right? There are people suffering and dying because they're not getting treatment for this. No more. No more.
For the next hour, we will follow individuals whose lives have been impacted by Dr. Keenan's work, each a unique situation, but each being helped by a revolutionary treatment.
The data that we have show that it works. It reduces suffering.
Moral injuries healed through letters to the dead, and for the living, a redemption to the innocence that once made them whole.
My grandma used to have this wall that we used to call the Wall of Fame with my uncles and my dad and cousins that have served. So that always stuck with me in the back of my head. And I was like, oh, maybe one day I want to be a part of that wall. You know, I joined pre 9/11, so there was really nothing going on. I was like, the best thing I could do is probably go to Japan or something and get to see that and have fun.
While stationed in Japan and out one night partying, Diego Mendoza and his friends were called back to their Marine barracks on base.
The MPs came out into the town and said, everybody's got to get back to base. And I was like, okay, whatever. I went back into the barracks room. We saw one of the planes hit the towers. And I was like, dude, turn this stupid movie off. He's like, this is happening like right now back home. And then that's when everything really kind of sank in. Like, okay, all right, now we're not really at a peacetime military anymore.